I'm here to talk to you about why you need a blog in 2024. So let's kind of dive into it. Now, we all know the history of blogging. At one point, it was the biggest way to be a content creator, and it was the way that many influencers got their start. From blogging to vlogging to podcasting and everything else in between, blogging can almost be seen as the grandfather of all these things in content creation today. But as we see changes happening in social media with SEO and everything else in between of algorithms changing and hashtags being removed and X or Twitter changing its name and so many more, it's time that we actually kind of take stock into what's working and what's not. And the thing that stayed true and old faithful has been blogs. Now, let's kind of go a little further back. We know that SEO is very important and it's key for people to find your content, your brand, as well as for customers to know that you are their service provider. So, with this in mind, when you think of SEO, it's still very much so heavily based on the written word. Well, let's think about this. If I'm spending my time on podcasts, video content, Instagram, Twitter, and all of these other places, and Google is still the number one search tool, it's still how people are finding what they need, and Google is not fully indexing videos, it's not fully indexing audio content, then we're missing out on a huge opportunity. And this is where blogging comes into play. Along with this, blogging lives on your own company website, your own brand website. So you get to control the frequency, the reach, as well as the access. If you're thinking of tomorrow how hashtags work and reels are no longer in, carousels work, and everything else in between, you're constantly having to change that strategy. Whereas blogging, it stays true to its word. And that's SEO optimization. It helps your website, your brand, your content really rank. So let's think of a video, for example. You may post it on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere else in between, but it's also important to place it on your website. And that's by turning it into a blog post. What I mean by this is you can transcribe the content that you're placing out, and then from that transcription, turn it into a longer form blog content and explain a little bit more. So if you have a 1-minute video for Instagram, there's only so much you can do in 1 minute. You can take that 1-minute content and expand on each point that you first talked about, and then utilize Instagram to push people to your website and your other services while they're there. So you see how it works in synergy. Next up as to why you really do need a blog in 2024 is sharing information and showcasing yourself as a brand expert. I'm doing this video right now. You may know me, but more than likely, you've never met me before. And so if you're able to hear from me, experience me in essence, you feel a little bit more connected. And that's the power of video. But let's take it one step further. If you're able to see me break down conceptual context or break down information that's a little bit more complex in a written form with a graphic to go with explaining it, it helps you trust me a little bit better. It helps you understand the concepts more. I now can be a go-to resource for you in marketing, branding, podcast production, and then some. Because breaking things down into the written word, which is how we all really started to learn as children, is by reading and the foundation. And a blog really helps you develop your expertise and showcase your knowledge as a brand and as a creator. Next up, it also allows you to attract more people to the work that you're doing. So I think of blogging as not just about, writing 1,000 words, because we do know that, there's a certain word count that you have to stick within. But it's also utilizing it to showcase your work. So when you think of a blog, don't just think of it as this written article. It can also be to showcase a recent project that you worked on and explaining why you enjoyed it. For us at Adode, we also utilize a blog to talk about projects that we work on, from branding and design, showcasing our portfolio for video, and so many other things, so that not only can we show you the finished product, but also talk about our experience, what we did, what went into the process. Because in 2024 and beyond, people want to understand the behind the scenes. They're not just spending money with a brand or with a creator just because you say so. They want to see, Do they connect with you? Do they have the same beliefs as you? Do they like the processes that you have in place? And your blog allows for you to take some of the content you already have, position it with your own experiences to showcase your work. So when you think of blog, when you think of really having content on your website, I want you to start looking at it from a perspective of your website should not just be this place that you set up one time and you don't think about it again. For your website to really be search engine optimized, it really should have more updates, whether that's on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, whatever cadence feels right for you. But it's important to utilize concepts as well as blogs that help drive people to your home base, because the more people coming through your home, the more people who know about your brand, whether that's through word of mouth or if they don't need your services right now, it helps people keep you top of mind. And so that's the main premise of why blogging has turned into such a big topic now, is that people recognize the importance of owning their own real estate as well as their own content and being able to control how they release it into the world. And if we really think of how everything was always created, it's always been created to drive things back to your website. The last thing I'll leave you with is Pinterest, for example. I love the fact that so many people forget that Pinterest is a search engine and not a social media platform. People utilize Pinterest as if it were Google. I know whenever I'm looking for a recipe, I don't go to Google for the recipe, I go to Pinterest. Whenever I'm doing home decor, same concept. And for the longest, I always thought that Pinterest was just for those type of elements. When in actuality, there's people who utilize Pinterest to search for services, web design, branding and design, and so much more. Well, if you're having a blog, you're able to then utilize and repurpose that content to place it on Pinterest to drive people to your blog and answer those pressing questions that people have. And so when you think of your blog, think of it as another resource for content and as another avenue for people to find you and engage with you. So if you're thinking to yourself, okay, wait, I already run my business, have to worry about accounting, staffing, as well as just the overall day-to-day operations, I do not have time to write a blog. Well, we've got you covered here at Adode Media. Our full-service communications team is here to support you from everything from concept ideation to dissemination. So if you're ready to up your content, up how you really communicate and showcase your work to the world, go ahead and reach out to us here at Adode Media. That's adodemedia.com, and I can't wait to work with you. Until next time, have a good one.